on a decode, 280 segments full decode, yeah. Interesting picture. Would have been one of the early either film cameras or projectors, I'm not sure. I think it may have been a projector. But then again, don't know.
Yeah, possibly a camera. Yeah, I'm not sure. VK3 JCO, John, how did you go decoding this image?
VK3 FTZD, the group, VK3 JCO. Yes, full segments and 17 dB here.
Excellent, excellent. VK3 BOT, Stan, how did you go decoding this one?
I actually agree with Terry. The signal was down, the signal to noise was down a little bit on what we're used to from Chris. So I've got him at 15 dB at VK3 BOT, file okay, and as Terry said, very interesting picture. No doubt we'll get the story.
Grayson, VK3 DUB, how did you go decoding this one?
Yeah, VK3 DUB, I got that full decode at 15 dB, so as the others said, a little bit lower than what I'd normally expect from AML, but yeah, still got it okay. And yeah, looking forward to hearing about some history with this one, VK3 FTZD, VK3 DUB.
Yeah, excellent. Chris, VK3 AML, how are you going with the stream, and what comments do you have for this image? We're very intrigued. Over to you, Chris.
Okay, thanks, Tim. I'll just bring the levels down a bit. The stream has failed. It's just too much for internet at this time on 1080p. And I suspect that the computer has also overloaded the CPUs running at 60%. And so it just crashed as soon as I pushed the transmit button. But what I've done is to use, I switched off the stream and I put OBS screen recording software into record mode. That will then record the whole of this as video, and I can upload that later. So all is not lost. It just means that whoever's watching will see it with delay. The picture was taken in 1924. Just hang on a sec, I'll change to monitoring off air. I was monitoring off the screen there. Off the stream. Now I'm monitoring on the radio, which is good. The man in the picture is Dr. Lee DeForest, who was the inventor of the triode amplifying valve, the first successful electronic amplifier in 1906, after the First World War. In fact, this was taken in 1924. He applied all of that technology to get sound onto film, talking pictures, and that is a glow lamp camera. The thing protruding from the camera on the right, 35mm film camera, Bell and Howell. The thing protruding from the camera on the right is a fitting for a glow tube which is shining through a slit onto the film beside the picture image that's being recorded, producing an optical soundtrack. And he's holding the glow lamp in his hand that goes into that enclosure at the back. This was the first commercial attempt at recording optical sound on film rather than having a synchronous disc, and it was the system that the industry standardized on after 1928. But like many pioneers in the field, he didn't make very much money out of it, although he did make some of the first sound films with that camera and with similar cameras. He also had a studio in London at Clapham Junction where he made experimental talkies for about 5 years from 1924 And they had a supplementary small studio in Sydney at Rushcutters Bay in 1927, where our very first talkies were made, with a camera just similar to that, an adapted silent camera. So that's the story. Dr. Lee DeForest with a talking picture camera, 1924, a VK3FTZD, VK3AML. Now recording the stream rather than running it, streaming it.
Yeah, Chris, very, very good image, and a word from the sponsor there as well. Okay, we're over to Terry, VK3FTJS, for the first image of for his first image of the night. Terry, VK3FTJS, VK3FTZD, and the EasyPal Net. Over to you, Terry.
Okay, we're not streaming this, we're actually recording.
Drop it a repeater.
VK3FTJS, VK3FTZD. Full decode on that image there, Terry, 21 dB. Excellent image, and very beautiful view, especially like the reflection off the water. VK3AML, Chris, how did you go decoding this image?
Yeah, fine. As you'll see from the recording, eventually 22 dB. The reason I'm a little down in my own transmissions this week is that I'm using the old FT2900, the 80 watt rig, but I have to feed in through the mic input and through the speaker output. There's no direct access to the VCO or to the discriminator. So I will be down a little bit this week, but hopefully not by too much. And nice night shot, Terry. VK3FTZD, VK3AML.
VK3JCO. John, how did you go?
VK3FTZD in the group, VK3JCO. Yes, 23 dB and wonderful reflections off the water there. Very good.
Excellent. VK3BOT. Stan, how did you go?
I would be very interested to know if Terry took that picture himself. It really is spectacular. Flinders Street Railway Station at night time with the lights reflecting off of it, plus the city lights in the background. It makes for a spectacular photo at any time. 17 dB at VK3BOT file OK. Thanks, Terry. I'd forgotten how nice the place was.
And Grayson, VK3DUB, how did you go decoding this image?
Yeah, I got that one at 18 dB and a full decode. Almost forgotten what the city looks like after all this time inside. Certainly a very nice photo. VK3FTZD with the group, VK3DB.
It is a very, very nice picture. VK3 FTJS Terry for comment.
Yeah, I'm not that lucky, mate. Yeah, somebody got a grouse photo, and yeah, I thought I'd bring it to you people tonight. And yeah, it's an interesting photo, but yeah, I've probably still seen it a million times, but yeah, not like this.
Yeah, it's a very, very nice photo. Okay, over to John, VK3JCO, VK3FTZD, and the EasyPal Net. You're up for the next image.
VK3FTZD and the EasyPal group, VK3JCO. Bear with me, I'm new to this. I've only transmitted a couple of times before. I loaded a couple of pictures up prior to the start, but because I'm receiving the images, my loaded pictures have disappeared. Can someone just point me in the right direction where to find the ones I've loaded up? I don't want to risk cutting someone out, so I couldn't check during your transmissions.
Bar at the top in the main screen, you'll see RX and TX. Just put it on TX if you want to send it.
Excellent, thank you very much. On the drop of the repeater, the first image, hopefully.
Interesting.
VK3JCO, VK3FTZD. Full decode on your image at 14 dB. So excellent image. Yeah, straight away went into a lock, no issues at all. Yeah, probably slightly little bit low on the SNR, which could be your levels might be a bit high, or it could be that your levels are a bit low, but it works. Full decode, I wouldn't be changing much. VK3AML, Chris, did you have any luck with receiving that image?
Yes, got it at 14 dB sig to noise, and somebody using a lathe with overhead belting drive, which puts it back, I guess, in the 20s or 30s. I can't quite see what he's machining there. But obviously something metal. Well, wait a minute, it could be a woodworking lathe, I'm not sure. I can't quite see it clearly enough, but interesting. VK3FT ZD, VK3AML to hand round.
Thanks there, Chris. It's definitely a metalworking lathe. Yeah, certainly interesting. VK3FTJS, Terry, how did you go decoding this image?
Yeah, 13 dB full decode, yeah. Yeah, it looks like a woodworking shop of some degree, with all the big drills and chisels and stuff at the back, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure what's going on.
VK3BOT, Stan, how did you go?
Yeah, very good indeed. For first effort. 12 dB at VK3BOT file okay. Very good, John. Well done.
VK3DUB, how did you go with that one there, Grayson?
Yeah, VK3DB. I got that full decode 12 dB. Yeah, good first effort. Well done. Interesting enough, the sync clock did not waver. It was locked on the entire time. Yeah, which was really good. I can't add anything to what others have said about that image, unfortunately, apart from that it appears to be from some sort of BBC production. VK3FTZD, VK3DB.
Yeah, thanks. Over to John, VK3JCO, for comment on this image.
VK3FTZD, VK3JCO. The image is indeed courtesy of the BBC Antiques Roadshow program. The image is of John George Osselbrook Kitchen, 1869 to 1940. He was nicknamed Jack, a remarkable engineer who lodged 175 provisional patent applications, of which 118 were carried through to completion. He lived in Bowness-on-Windermere, that's in the Lake District where I was born, from 1897 to 1903, and again in 1921 to 1940. Now, my stepmother was related by marriage and used to visit his house. His work with early wireless was a feature at Windermere. Isaac Story and Kitchen were the first to steer a boat by way of remote control. That is, a steam launch, Bat was the name of the boat, in 1904. And Kitchen offered the Admiralty a steerable radio-controlled torpedo. Edward Wakefield believed that scouting by hydro-airplane would become a necessity for national safety, and that further experimentation was necessary for an observer and a wireless installation. On the 19th of July 1912, an Admiralty representative came to the lake to observe a new method of transmitting wireless messages from air in water hen to ground. One of the stories about him relates to his gardener being sent off in a steam launch and told not to touch anything but keep stoking the boiler, and the poor gardener was terrified while this boat charged all around the lake. VK3FTZD in the group, VK3JCO.
Yeah, thanks there, John. That's one heck of a history. Very, very good image and, yeah, very good story. Quite enjoyed that. VK3BOT, it's over to you, Stan, for the next image for the night. Take it away.
Yeah, very good. That's a drop of the repeater. We'll make the usual horrible noise. VK3 Bravo Oscar Tango said that.
VK3BOT, VK3FTZD, and the EasyPal Net. Full decode on that at 22 dB. Normally I get you about 21, so something's happened. Yes, quite amusing. I forgot he was Jewish and gave him a ham radio. Dear, VK3 AML. Chris, how did you go decoding this image?
Yeah, no problem, but the cartoon was definitely not kosher.
Pardon.
Terry, VK3FTJS, how did you go?
Okay, 21 dB, full decode. Yeah, nice pun, I'm not going to drop one. But, yeah, it's certainly interesting, but, yeah, it all comes through well. And I've been analysing the signals as they've been coming through as well. And, Stan, you seem to have a massive cut-off at 2.5 kilohertz. So you're losing part of your top end.
I think that's normal, but yeah, that's all right. He's still getting a good signal through. That's the main thing. John, VK3JCO, how did you go decoding this one?
Wonderful comments of everyone. Yes, full decode, 22 dB.
Excellent. We're over to Grayson, VK3DUB. How did you go decoding this one?
VK3DB, full decode at 17 dB. All good, I got a giggle out of that one.
Excellent. And over to Stan for comment, VK3BOT, VK3FTZD.
I'm awfully sorry, but I don't have any comment. I really didn't think that it needed. I do agree with the comment. It really wasn't quite kosher. But, well, I poke fun at Christianity. I'll poke fun at anybody if you give me half a chance. Back to you, Tim. VK3BOT said that.
No worries. Okay, we are over to Grayson, VK3DUB, for the next image.
Yeah, VK3DUB. Just for you guys listening, the entirety of my setup from the interface box back is all new this week. So, new computer, new microphone, new mixing desk, new USB sound card, the whole lot. So, I did a quick test earlier on with AML, and it seemed to work okay. But just bear with me, and I'm also curious about my voice audio reports because, again, completely new setup, and it's hard to hear yourself when you're talking. But on the drop of the repeater, I'll send a fairly low quality easy one through first, and hopefully all goes well. VK3DUB with an EasyPal picture, the drop of the repeater.
The level is way too high.
Off too high.
Way too high in level.
Probably want to drop it about at least 10 dB, Grayson.
Yeah, rightio, I'll come back in the next go and have another crack.
You can resend if you want.
go around again. I've just got to find all the settings and muck around here. So, yeah, give me a bit and I'll do it the next round.
Okay, no worries. All right, we are up to me. Cool. So something completely different. I've got a 3D printed project to transmit. I needed something to be able to read the oscillator that was on a SMD component. I needed to read the value of the oscillator, and it was really small and tiny and really hard to get the flashlight from the phone on an angle to be able to see it, let alone magnifying it enough to be able to see. So I built this, and it's proven its worth multiple times. The lens in it is actually from one of the multiple lenses from a rear projected screen or rear projection TV. This is VK3FTZD with an EasyPal image. I don't mind the messy desk at the drop of the repeater. Microphone on helps. VK3 AML, Chris, how did you go decoding this image?
20 dB. It would have been more on the other radio. Something 3D printed involving a magnifying glass. That's about all I can tell. Intriguing. It'll need some explanation. VK3FTZD, VK3AML.
VK3FTJS, Terry, how did you go decoding this one?
Yeah, 20 dB. I've seen it before, but I can't remember what it was. I know you showed me last week. Hang on. Yeah, I won't spoil it, but yeah. All right. 20 dB, full decode, 160 segments.
Excellent. John, VK3JCO, how did you go decoding this one?
Yes, full decode, 20 dB. It looks as if the screw section there is to adjust the focus, perhaps, and the curve section at the bottom, feet presumably, that it stands on, but I can't work out what the reflected surface might be for on the left. Interesting to hear your description. VK3 FTZ in the group, VK3 JCO.
Stan, VK3 BOT, how did you go decoding this one?
Yeah, very good indeed. I've got 15 dB at VK3 BOT file OK. Good, excellent.
And VK3 DUB, Grayson, how did you go?
Yeah, I got a full decode on that one at 16 dB. Just having a guess, that platform on the bottom there has what looks like a ground and possibly a power supply wire there. I wonder if it's a rig for either testing chips or doing prototyping or something similar. VK3 FTZD with the group VK3DB.
Yeah, no worries. So that panel that you can see, you can just see white dots on it. They're actually LEDs, and it's a fairly bright LED array, and so it lights up whatever I've got underneath, often a PCB with SMD components on it, and allows me to see them up really close. And of course, because of the multi-pivot points, I can actually adjust the focus and the angle of the magnifying glass and the light. I can also, by undoing the nuts on the M8 rod, I can actually change the height as well if needed. But that's a good height where it is sitting now. And yeah, it's just a magnifying glass helping hand for SMD or surface mount components. So there you go, nice 3D printed. Mind the layer lines or the horizontal lines you can see. My nozzle was starting to wear out a lot. I've since then changed the nozzle and they've pretty much vanished. Yeah, excellent. Okay, we are back up to the top of the list. VK3AML. Chris, you're up for the next image when you are ready.
Okay, VK3 Alpha Mike Lima with an EasyPal pick on the drop of the repeater.
VK3AML, VK3FTZD and the EasyPal net. 19 dB on that one, and I would have to guess that would be for your light transmitter. It might be a photosensitive diode, so it might be the receiver, but it might be the emitter. I'm not sure actually, but it'd be something to do with that surely. VK3FTJS. Terry, how did you go decoding this one?
Yeah, full decode, 280 segments at 17 dB, and yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe receiver, maybe transmitter, but yeah, it's one or the other. But it's definitely LED.
VK3 JCO. How did you go, John?
Full decode, 18 dB, a very interesting bit of machining there, Chris. Solid block, looks very intriguing. Dying to know what that is.
VK3 BOT. Stan, how did you go?
We are 15 dB at VK3 BOT, and the only thing that I've got to say about that is that I'm glad I wasn't the one that had to do the soldering.
That's microscope work for that. VK3 DUB. Grayson, how did you go?
Yeah, I got that one at 15 dB with the full decode, so no issues here, but like the others, curious to know what that one is.
And over to Chris, VK3 AML4 comment.
Okay, what you're looking at is the most intense LED currently made. A normal indicator LED takes about 100 milliamps, 1/10 of an amp. This one can run 8 amps continuous. It's around about a 40 watt LED. It's hugely magnified. What you're seeing there is the top of a CPU heatsink that I've had tapped and died, so that the supports, the 4 support screws for the secondary lens that goes above this are in, and the tiny screws that hold this device, which is only about a centimetre square, the 2 screws there are quite tiny, holding it to the heatsink. The heatsink has to be a CPU style fan-cooled heatsink because of the amount of power this thing runs. It's among the most intense light sources that can be modulated without using laser. And the emitting surface is that deep maroon square in the middle, which is only 1 millimetre by 1 millimetre. It's greatly enlarged here. But yeah, that's an 8 amp 3 volt LED VK3 FTZD VK3 AML.
That is a crazy piece of machinery. Very, very nice there, Chris. Awesome image and a good example of the fun stuff we can do with technology, especially with what you've done with this. Okay, over to Terry, VK3 FTJS for the next image.
Hey, on a chopper to repeater.
VK3FTJS, VK3FTZD, and the EasyPal Net. Full decode on your image, and it's good image as always. 21 dB, and yeah, I've seen this one a few times. Yes, because the males don't have a handbag. Unfortunately, can't quite read the top line of the image, but I'm pretty sure what it says. VK3 JCO, John, how did you go? Sorry, VK3 AML. Chris, how did you go first?
22 dB there. The others, I don't know whether I've gone through. Yourself, Tim, 20 dB, Stan, 21, John, 14 so far. But yeah, somebody's done a very clever alignment of the camera with that handbag. VK3FTZD, VK3AML.
And yes, very, very good. John, VK3 JCO, how did you go decoding this image?
23 dB, yes, full decode. A rare photo of a banded Australian is the first line. It's perfectly clear on my image here. I wondered if you use Photoshop for this at all. Also, I've got a question for you at some time, Chris, if I may ask that at some point.
You can ask any time there, John.
Yeah, fire away.
VK3 AML, the group VK3 JCO. Yes, do you use any heat sink compound on that between the LED and the board, or would it just completely fizzle? Back to you, Chris.
No, the standard heatsink compound goes underneath that, between there and the heatsink, and the heatsink is very thick, and it has a fan. It's an old, what would it be? It would be a CPU heatsink from about 1998. There are plenty of them, you know, rattling around in people's junk boxes, so to get rid of the heat from this thing, that's the easiest way. Throw away 100 milliamps running the fan. A VK3 JCO, VK3AML.
Yes, thanks, Chris. VK3FTZD in the group, if I may just ask another question. What's causing the variation in the signal-to-noise ratios, please? Can anyone explain that to me?
Chris, did you want to explain that one?
Well, some of us I'm currently running my old rig, so I've got the audio going into the mic input with a pad, resistive pad, and coming out of the speaker output I've taken a tap off that for the computer. So I'm not using my normal rig this week. I'm using the high power rig, which doesn't have digital input. My other rig, the FT7900, has a so-called digital input on the back, which is actually direct access to the VCO for transmitting and to the discriminator for receiving. Under those circumstances, I get much better sig-to-noise. But it's a function of all sorts of things. Things that can reduce your signal to noise are lack of linearity in either your audio or in your VCO or in the same at the repeater. Most often it's due to lower sig to noise is due to non-optimum level, because EasyPal is a lot more sensitive to level than analog slow scan. I hope that helps to sort it out. VK3 FTZD, VK3 AML.
Thanks for that, Chris. I'm using an ICOM IC705 for the group information.
You should be fine with that radio. From what I've seen from your numbers, you're receiving perfectly fine. Your transmit level's a little bit out, but that's fine. We all decoded it without any problems. Yeah, for the record, I'm actually using a commercial radio that I've tapped into the discriminator using, tapped into the back of the radio for the line in, as well as a line level in, as well as a line level out, which has then been modified to go to the discriminator, so I get a flat output of the sound of the radio as a line level. It's an SRM 9000, if anyone knows the Simico radios. A beautiful radio, really good radio for what it is, but it is only a single band commercial radio. So I've got two on my desk. You can actually see them in the back of the last image I sent. But there you go. Good radio for EasyPal, I find. Warms up a bit, but still works. Okay. I have misplaced that. Okay, Stan, VK3BOT. How did you go decoding the image?
Next to it would have been round me. 18 dB from our young friend Terry. There's no drama at all. Yeah. If it's a female, makes you glad he's not a male, doesn't it? After all, they eat you.
I always thought it was the females that were the only ones that carried any venom, and it wasn't really anything that would hurt you. It would more get infected than anything else. VK3DUB, Grayson, how did you go?
Yeah, VK3DB, got that full decode at 17 dB, so all good from my end.
Yeah, excellent. And over to Terry, VK3FTJS for comment.
It is what it is. Yeah, I just seen it and thought, I'll put it on.
It is a classic. Okay, we're over to John, VK3JCO. I'm looking forward to your next image. Over to you.
Okay, just loading the picture up on the drop of the repeater, hopefully.
VK3JCO, VK3FTZD, full decode at 14 dB here. I thought it sounded a little bit loud, maybe. Your gains might be up just that little bit too much, but still full decode. I wouldn't be complaining, and very beautiful looking image. VK3AML, Chris, how did you go decoding this one?
14 dB also here. It's an interesting portable gramophone, the likes of which I don't think I've seen before. Looks like somebody has mocked it up out of parts. It looks like a developmental one. I don't know of any commercial one looking like that. Question is, was it actually made by the chap whose photograph we saw previously, which is obviously that photograph sitting on the table? But very interesting anyway. And 14 dB. And I agree, just by dropping the level a couple of dB, you might bring that up to 20 dB without too much trouble. Apart from that, the signal's fine. VK3FTZD, VK3AML.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. VK3FTJS. Terry, how did you go?
Yeah, 13 dB. Full decode. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on what the story is. That's more Chris's, down in Chris's field. But yeah, nice photo all the same. And yeah, you're spot on, Tim. He's about 3 dB too high.
VK3BOT. Stan, how did you go?
Yeah, John, you are 12 dB at VK3BOT file OK. It sounded very, very rough. The audio anyway sounds very, very rough. But I do like the image. So I'm just going to ignore the audio because that's really, this is a really, really busy picture. That's how I would put it. Obviously you've got a gramophone. There is a whole pile of deck chairs in the background, but it didn't only be. You had a bit of a flood happening here because the water level appears to be quite high. But that's a good picture. I like that, yeah. Could do some more like that. Back to you, Tim. VK3FTZD, VK3BOT. Oh, did I say 15? No, what did I say? 12. 12 dB at VK3BOT file OK.
Thanks, Dan. I got that. Grayson, VK3DUB. How did you go?
VK3DB, yeah, got that 12 dB with a full decode. I noticed that the photo on the bottom right there is the same one that John transmitted earlier. So I wonder if it's got to do with the gentleman he was speaking about before. The whatever that silver, I don't know if it's a reflector or similar, has really got me intrigued. So I'm interested to hear about this one. VK3 FTZD with the group VK3DB.
Thank you. Over to John for comment. VK3JCO, VK3FTZD.
VK3FTZD in the group, VK3JCO. The image was courtesy of the BBC again, taken at the Windermere Steamboat Museum on the edge of Lake Windermere. It is a gas gramophone, and the inventor was Jack Kitchen, based on the idea of passing sound waves through a gas flame, which scientific tests proved gave you a clearer sound than through a horn. That's quoted from the Antiques Roadshow spokesperson. Auction estimate, which they give on the Antiques program, expected to fetch between 800 and 1,200 UK pounds.
Wow, interesting piece of tech. Cool. Okay. We'll go over to Stan, VK3BOT, for the next image.
Well, I've got to say, John, that I'm really surprised that it was only £800 that it went for, given the fact that there's a piece of history sitting there on that table. I'm amazed that it was only £800. I would have thought, so if you'd said £800,000, I might have said, yeah, that sounds near the mark. But yeah, that's awfully cheap. All right, at the drop of the repeater, VK3 Bravo Oscar Tango with another EasyPal image.
The ISS.
VK3BOT, VK3FTZD, full decode at 15 dB here. Down for 15, and over to Chris, VK3AML4. How did you go decoding this one?
It was 19 dB for most of the way, but there was a repeater ident about 10 seconds from the end. Didn't affect the transmission. The error correction took care of it. Interesting. Slow scan picture, obviously, from the ISS, which would have come in on 145.8, I think, is the frequency those things do. I'm aware that this week there's been a couple of passes of the thing, but is this one of your own, Stan? Interesting. VK3 FTZD, VK3 AML.
Interesting. VK3 FTJS. Terry, how did you go decoding this one?
Full decode, 14 dB, 180 segments, and yeah, there was a gap, but yeah, the error correction picked it up, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, thanks there, Terry. VK3 JCO. John, how did you go?
14 dB. It's a great looking picture. I noticed it's dated June the 24th this year, so be intrigued to know a bit more about that. The pixelation is just visible across in line with the date at the bottom across the width of the screen there. Back to you.
There you go. VK3DUB. Grayson, how did you go?
VK3DB, I got that at a full decode at 11 dB. It was 18 before the repeater came up and ruined it all, but not the first time that's happened. Yeah, this is I've been doing much the same as Stan, tracking the ISS as it flies over. They're transmitting their signals this whole week. But I'm curious to know what equipment he received this on, because my results haven't been nearly as good. VK3 FTZ there with the group VK3DB.
I have to agree, mine are nowhere near this good either. That's why I stopped doing it. Okay, VK3BOT4 comment.
Okay, well the date stamp is correct. Well, it has to be because it's on there, unless they're, of course, a bit in front of us, which they could be, because, yeah, this is off of the latest one. I've got one more of these. This is this set of passes. There has been one other, but I missed it, unfortunately. There was one earlier on, and I missed that. But this lot that's going through now, well, but it's not going through right now because obviously I've only got one radio. But yeah, and this is one of the best images, I might add, that I've got off of ISIS, and all the time that it's been going. This is probably this one and the one that follows are two of the best images that I've had. Equipment is simple. It's just a Yaesu 2900 up to a Diamond dual bander 72 and 70. I don't know if it makes any difference or not. I'm feeding it with RG213. If you're prepared to sit each time it goes over and then allow for the Doppler effect, you can get better images and you'll actually get it for longer than what I do. And similarly, if you happen to have a beam and you're prepared to sit out there and do it with a beam, well then obviously you'll do better. But I'm much too lazy for that. I was in bed when these images were taken, and I basically, when we finish here tonight, I'll flick the radio over to 145/800 and set up the slow scan program and go to bed and snore my head off. So there we are. VK3FTZD, that's the story from VK3BOT.
Yeah, thank you there, Stan. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Yeah, I must say I can never get them quite right. Okay, over to Grayson, VK3DUB, for the next image.
Yeah, righto, boys. I'll wind up the rubber band. I'll send through about 20-30 seconds, and if you can just come back and let me know if it locks on. I've dropped the output down significantly, so we'll just see how we go.
That's much more better.
Everyone else get that okay?
So let you know, Grayson, you came in here straight away at 12 dB to VK3 BOT, so unless anybody else has got it something different, but that's good.
Came up to 16 dB here, and yeah, it locked straight away. So yeah, whatever you did there, probably still a little bit too high, but it's locking, and that's fine.
Rightio, I'll give her a proper whirl then.
VK3DUB, VK3FTZD. I know where that is. It's a good explore from what I hear. 21 dB. I wouldn't be touching a thing. Don't fiddle with any settings. VK3AML. Chris, how did you go decoding this image?
Yeah, 19 dB most of the way, and yes, on top of the silos at Burnley. In my childhood home, which was in East Hawthorn, on a hill south of Camberwell Junction, going out on the front veranda, looking out to the west, you could see that flashing away on the horizon. Originally, it used to have a sequence of flashes. It would flash Nilex Plastics, Nilex Plastics, Nilex Anytime, Nilex Time, and of course the time at the top, all in neon, and presumably with some very high voltage transformers running it all. And I know that Cave Clan or whatever has done trips into that building and put YouTube clips up from time to time. It's an interesting place. They're turning it into, as I understand it, they're building it into apartments. I wonder if the rats and the fleas know that. VK3FTZD, VK3AML.
VK3CJN.
Good evening there, Chris, VK3CJN. VK3FTJS, Terry, how did you go decoding that one?
Yeah, 19 dB full decode, and yeah, his levels are a lot closer to what they were, yeah.
Excellent. John, VK3JCO, how did you go decoding this one?
VK3FTZD in the group, VK3JCO, yes. Very interesting image, 19 dB until the very end. It dropped to 17 then. Very good indeed. Interesting shadow play. Back to you.
Yeah, excellent. VK3BOT, Stan, how did you go decoding this one?
Well, what a pity they turned the clock off. That clock used to be really handy, and you could see it for miles and miles. Oh no, hang on a minute, that's not correct. You could see it for kilometres and kilometres and kilometres. 15 dB at VK3 BOT, don't change a thing. It's all very good.
Excellent. And Chris, VK3CJN, did you happen to get that image?
Did. I've got, that makes it 11 images. I set my PC to run and walked away from it to use the other laptop for my chat with Russell in Port Moresby, and watched the football at the same time, and I wasn't impressed with that, so I said to him I should have stayed on the radio all night. But 9 dB here, a full decode.
Excellent, thanks there, Chris. Will you be transmitting tonight?
Why not? I don't have my receive levels adjusted, so that 9 dB may be fallacious, shall we say, but it is an indication, I suppose.
Awesome, cool. I'll put you down on the list. Okay, VK3DUB for comment there, Grayson.
Yeah, VK3DUB. Not much to say about this one. I took this years ago now, probably about 2013 or 14, back when the whole site was basically still there. It's now being slowly demolished to make way for the March of Progress and some apartments that they're putting in. Interestingly enough, the sign itself is heritage listed, so part of the planning for that was that they have to reinstall the sign and the clock at the approximate height that they originally were. So I'll be curious to see how they manage that. But yeah, I've noticed a lot of graffiti and stuff up there recently. I drove past, I think, yesterday, and that's what reminded me is that the actual clock itself looks like someone's got up there and sprayed a bit on. But as Chris was saying, a tremendous amount of neon there back in the day. I believe the every time signage up there was still left as neon, but everything else, the Nilex and the clock itself, was converted to LED some years ago, and the whole thing, I believe, can run off just a single 240 volt outlet effectively, with the exception of course the neon. But that's enough from me. VK3FTZD, VK3DUB with the
Thanks there, Grayson. Unfortunately, because I'm only a newbie to Melbourne, well, 10 years. I never saw this light up, but there you go. That's cool. That's really cool. One of the places I've wanted to explore, but yeah, haven't had the time, and now the wife won't let me explore places like that. Cool. Okay, we are up to... do I have an image ready to go? I did. Unfortunately, it's not there yet. Okay, well, I'll pass it over to Chris VK3CJN for the next image. Over to you, Chris.
Hey, jolly good. Caught me with my pants down. Not literally. I haven't set my volume level for transmitting. That's right now, and I hadn't plugged the lead in. All right. Well, at the drop of the repeater, I'll send an image. This is VK3CJN.
VK3CJN, VK3FTZD, full decode on that, and that blurred bit in the photo looks like someone's photoshopped someone out of that image. Yeah, excellent. Yes, it's not a drill, it's a hammer. Because it's hammer time? I don't know. VK3AML, Chris, how did you go decoding Chris's image?
15 dB on this occasion. Don't worry though, Chris, I'm using a different rig without any access to VCO or discriminator. It's the old FT 2900. And for your information, Chris, I had originally intended to stream this on YouTube. As soon as I hit the transmit button on EasyPal on the same computer, the YouTube stream crashed. So now I'm just screen recording the whole thing, and I'll upload the screen recording after we finish. Yeah, had a good giggle. VK3FTZD, VK3AML.
Yeah, thanks there, Chris. Excellent image, I must say. VK3... I've lost my list. VK3FTJS, Terry, how did you go?
16 dB full decode. And, yeah. Is that IKEA again?
VK3JCO, John, how did you go?
Yes, full decode, 15 dB. Very interesting, and I wondered about the fuzzy bit, whether something had been photoshopped out there. Very good. Very clever. VK3JCO back to the group.
It certainly looks like something's been photoshopped out because, well, just look at the shadow alone. Yeah, something's missing there. I believe that's supposed to be the shadow of the hammer, and yeah, it's not. VK3BOT, Stan, how did you go?
13 dB at VK3BOT file, okay.
Excellent, thanks for that. VK3DUB, Grayson, how did you go?
VK3DB, 15 dB with a full decode. Could say hit the nail on the head with that one. 15 dB with a full decode. 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 15 dB with a fu
VK3CJN, Chris for comment.
First time I saw this, I thought, looks like a tornado's been through there and taken everything out, including the shadow. But yes, it's an interesting picture, even with that little anomaly. Don't know where I got it from. It's been sitting on my computer for ages and ages and ages, and it just happened to get to the top of the pile tonight. So there we go. Your VK3FTZD, VK3CJN.
Well, thank you for that image there, Chris. Excellent as always. Okay, I managed to get my next image ready to go. So this is VK3FTZD with his 3D printer just starting up behind him. That's what you can hear. Oh, I've got a limit switch dead. It'll cancel. With an image at the drop of the repeater. VK3AML. Chris, how did you go decoding this image?
20 dB. Just trying to work out. It looks a bit like a loop Yagi, but it's sort of 90 degrees to where a loop would normally be. And the front director looks like it's slightly bent. No doubt there'll be a story. VK3FTZD, VK3AML.
VK3FTJS, how did you go decoding this image?
Yeah, 21 dB full decode, and yeah, been talking about that one all week, haven't we?
That we have. I'm thinking of scaling it up to 2 metre. Someone did a design with this, with the standard version, not the super version, the standard version with a standard Yagi, 70 centimetre Yagi on the inside. So I'm thinking of modelling one up and building that. See how it goes. VK3JCO, John, how did you go?
Interesting looking workshop, and I'm intrigued to know what it is. There must be quite a large printer that you've got there. Notice the cable ties at each end. Are they to keep birds away, perhaps? VK3FTZD, VK3JCO.
Cable ties because I'm lazy, I haven't cut them yet. VK3BOT, Stan, how did you go?
Can you throw this one up on the Facebook page, please, Tim, because I didn't get this. The repeater write-in killed you at the beginning, and then for some unknown reason there's a hissy fit signal flame and delay between Frankston and the repeater. John asked earlier on what were some of the factors that affected the signal-to-noise ratio, and for us here in Frankston, part of that is where we are. and we don't always have a clear sight to the repeater, and this is one of those occasions when it got interfered with. So, yeah, if you can throw it up, I'll be very happy about that. What I did get of it, I have 140 segments out of 160 and at 14 dB.
Yeah, no worries there, Stan. I'm just exporting it now. Yeah, bit strange that you couldn't decode that. VK3 DUB, Grayson, how did you go?
Yeah, VK3 DUB, full decode at 17 dB here, so all good.
Excellent. 17 VK3 CJN, how did you go decoding this one?
Suspect that I have my levels a little bit high. 14 dB here. Looks like something might be used for ARDF, perhaps, but I'll be interested to hear your story on this. And I guess the cable ties are just there to stop the end of the copper dropping out of the supports. VK3FTZD, VK3CJN.
You're pretty much spot on there, Chris. The cable ties are holding supports. Just trying to find where my Facebook tab is. I'll just create a new tab out of the 100,000 there. I'm going to upload the image now for you there, Stan, so you can grab it when I... Oh, man. Just got too much junk on this computer. It's like the rest of the garage. Okay, so description of this image. You have got... sorry, I'm just uploading the image now for Stan. So the image is now on the Facebook page. So you've got the top element being a director that's folded in on itself. Then you've got the dipole, which is folded in on itself, supported by the supports, the centerpiece, and then you've got the reflector, which is a longer version of the director. Now they're held in with cable tie clamps, so the cable ties hold the elements in spots in the middle, as well as on the ends to support the radiator and the reflector. Now this is a UHF CB Moxon antenna that I modelled and built using 3D printing software. And of course you can see my workshop in the background, which is an absolute mess. You can see on just below middle on the right hand side, actually closer to the right hand bottom corner, there's a white box sitting on the shelf. That's actually my new mixer I'm using. So this I got a couple of weeks ago in Hard Rubbish, and I've been using it. It seems to be working quite well. It seems to give enough gain for this microphone, as well as doesn't seem to affect my EasyPal from the computer. Main thing is I've got to remember to turn the microphone back on after transmitting. It is on here. Yeah, so there you go. Moxon, it's called a, well, this is called a Super Moxon because it's got the director. Now putting this with my antenna analyzer, it's a 1.05 SWR and a return loss of negative 38 dB. Well, 10 over 30, negative 38 dB return loss, and there's certainly like 20 dB difference between the front and rear on the antenna. There you go. Full description. Probably a bit extreme on that one. Okay, back to the top of the list, I guess. VK3 AML. Chris, you're up for the next image when you are ready.
Okay, this is not apropos of anything electronic, but this is a particularly interesting map I came across. Forgotten that I'd had this. This was given to me when I was a child, about 10 years old. And that's 1964, so it's a long time ago. And the map dates from 1833. VK3AML with an EasyPal pick on the drop of the repeater.
VK3AML, VK3FTZD. I saw you post this on Facebook. It's, yeah, certainly a lot different now. Full decode on that at 19 dB. Terry, VK3FTJS, how did you go decoding this image?
Yeah, 17 dB, full decode. Was that actually 65, Chris, that map, or was it a pre?
1833. It's from about 3 years before the foundation of Melbourne. Sorry, 1833. It was 2 years before the foundation of Melbourne and 3 before the foundation of Adelaide.
Hence the Port Phillip references and Port Lincoln and so forth.
Yeah, you'll see they've misspelt Sydney. They put it as S-I-D-N-E-Y.
Oh, wait, mate, I could have made a comment then, but yeah.
Anyway, John, VK3JCO, how did you go?
VK3FTZD in the group, VK3JCO, yes, 18 dB, very interesting. I like the regions unexplored bit in the centre. Very good, Chris. Back to the group.
It's a very well done piece of map. VK3BOT, Stan, how did you go?
Well, we're getting a bit of rain static down here, so I'm not getting everything, but I'm getting enough. Because Chris is sending his over a couple of minutes, therefore it's allowing for all of that stuff. But here's 15 dB at VK3BOT, but the rain static is starting to come up. and that will kill me eventually, but not just yet. Yeah, very interesting. I actually have a map like this around here somewhere. It's not obviously, it's not the same as this map, but very close to it, and very, very interesting. It gives you an idea of just what they thought in those days. If they only realised that region's unexplored, my goodness me. Apparently around Alice Springs there were cities that had upwards of 1,000 people. So, yeah, definitely was definitely not an uninhabited land. Back to you, Tim. BK3BOT said that.
Thanks, Dan. BK3 DUB. Grayson, how did you go?
Yeah, I got that one at 15 dB with a full decode. Yeah, certainly from fairly early on, given that that most of the West Coast still bears its Dutch namesakes, but interestingly enough, I noticed that Investigator Bay or Point is down there just within the bight, so it says to me it was created at least after not Matthew Flinders, whoever piloted the Investigator chasing O'Bodonran in about 1802, but I could be wrong on that one. BK3 FTZD VK3 DUB.
Thanks there. And VK3 CJN. Chris, how did you go?
Very interesting map. New South Wales and New Holland each have a portion of land named Van Diemen's Land. Did anybody notice that? 16 dB here, full decode.
Thanks there, Chris. VK3 AML. Chris, for comment.
Yeah, no worries. This is one page from a small, I suppose you'd call it school atlas, that was published in 1833. My father's best friend was a avid book collector in the 40s, 50s and 60s, and encouraging an interest in old books with me, he would give me each birthday and Christmas an antiquarian book, something that would interest a young person. So I was given this for my 10th birthday, March 8th, 1964, and I'd found it quite fascinating. You should see the picture of United States, where everything west of the Mississippi, half of that was unexplored as well. But in this map, the Darling River and part of the Lachlan had been mapped by Charles Sturt. Interestingly, Kangaroo Island is not only too small but is wrongly placed. Flinders Island in Bass Strait is called Great Island in the Ferno group. And what else there? A lot of the proportions, if you look in close detail, are quite wrong. But it's interesting that so much of Western Australia was named after the Dutch navigators who investigated at Tasman, Noitz, Lewin down the bottom there. Really, the Dutch had more claim to WA than the British ever did. And considering that they were in control of the Dutch East India Company at Batavia, it's just surprising that we're not speaking Dutch now. VK3 FTZD, VK3 AML.
Thanks, Chris. Beautiful description as always. Okay, over to Terry, VK3 FTJS for the next image.
Okay, on the drop of the repeater.
Oh, you're giving me ideas.
VK3 FTJS, VK3 FTZD, and the EasyPal net. I'm pretty sure if I said that to my wife, she'd probably murder me. Yeah, full decode 21 dB as usual. VK3 AML, Chris, how did you go?
My wife is 5'1", I'm 6'2". She would give me a blood kneecap if I tried that stunt, but it's very good. 22 dB. Terry gets the best sig to noise of the night. VK3 FTZD, VK3 AML.
Yeah, cool. You got 22 off him the last time he transmitted. Well, the last, yeah. VK3 JCO, John, how did you go?
And another very clever image. Yes, 23 dB full decode. VK3 FTZD in the group, VK3 JCO.
Stan, VK3 BOT, how did you go?
Yeah, I agree with what Chris said. Terry's come up trumps tonight, 17 dB. So his figures tonight for pictures from me is 17 for the first, 18 for the next, and 17 for that one. So he's yeah, top of the pile tonight. Back to you, VK3 BOT said that.
VK3 DUB, Grayson, how did you go?
Yeah, VK3 DB, unfortunately I didn't get that at all. I don't know, so that was EasyPal. Something went wrong. I'll just restart it and go again.
No worries. I should be able to put that onto the Facebook page a bit later on. So I'll put that as VK3CJN. Chris, how did you go decoding that one?
No problems, 17 dB here, and I think my wife had removed part of my anatomy that I'm rather fond of. VK3 FTZD, VK3 CJN.
Left or right?
Both.
No worries. Okay, Terry, VK3 FTJS4 comment.
Pretty well what it is. Yeah, it's worth a try anyhow, guys. Come on.
Good, thanks there, Terry. Wouldn't want to try it. Okay, over to John, VK3 JCO, for the next image for the night.
3 FTD in the group, VK3 JCO. Chris, for your sake, my images relate to an inventor this evening, and no doubt I or others will explain as the images appear on the drop of the repeater.
VK3JCO, VK3FTZD, and the EasyPal Net, 13 dB on that one. And it's a nice close-up image. VK3AML, Chris, how did you go decoding this image?
14 dB. And imagine all of the weight bearing on the record with that sort of a pickup. And this is prior to the development of electronic amplification, so I imagine their standard for reproduction, the basis for judgment would not be very stringent. Probably would have been very 300 Hz to 3K with peaks and troughs all over the place. VK3FTZD, VK3AML.
I do like how they've got the spring there. That would take a bit of the weight off. But yeah, there's still a lot of weight on that. VK3FTJS, Terry, how did you go?
13 dB, full decode. Couple of little gaps in there, but error correction picked up on that. Yeah, interesting device. Wouldn't mind seeing one in action, actually. Is there actually any video of it?
Be interesting to find out. VK3BOT, Stan, how did you go with this one?
Very good from John. 11 dB VK3BOT, and that includes the repeater ident in amongst that lot as well. So it's one of the advantages of making it a long transmission. It allows for the repeater being decidedly and naughty and chucking a hissy fit. Back to you, Tim, VK3BOT, said that.
Thanks, Dan. VK3DB, Grayson, how did you go?
Yeah, VK3DB, full decode at 12 dB. I do notice that that John has his QAM amplitude modulation set at 16. If you change that over to 64, you'll find you probably get a little bit less time on the transmit, which tends to work out a little bit better, I find. But apart from that, an interesting mechanism there. Your old 78s wouldn't be long for this world. VK3 FTZD, VK3 DEB.
That's it. VK3 CJN. Chris, how did you go with this one?
Another good image received at 5 dB here. Not quite sure. I think John's levels might be a bit out, but it sounds all right. So perhaps not. Don't play with it, hey? VK3 FTZD, VK3 CJN.
Thanks there, Chris. I thought it sounded a little bit loud still, but still a very good image and still full decode. It's actually telling me that there's 44 remaining segments, but I got a full decode. Get that. VK3JCO, John, for comment on this one.
Yes, thank you. Chris, for your sake, this is a close-up of the pickup mechanism of a gas gramophone invented by John George Ausable Pitch in 1869 to 1940. And it was taken from an antiques roadshow segment towards the end, which was at the Windermere Steamboat Museum in the UK. And my stepmother's related to Jack, as he was known, Kitchen by marriage, and used to visit his house. I thought these pictures would be of very interest to you, Chris, 3AML. I don't know whether there are any more of these. They didn't mention this on the Antiques Roadshow at all. VK3 FTZD in the group, VK3JC. Oh, just by the way, how do I adjust the QIM modulation, please? Can someone talk me through that at some time? Thank you.
Could I have it? Sounds like I've got it. Hover your cursor over the QRM figure and click on it. You'll find that it goes from 64 to 16 to 8, or something like that. Have you found that, John?
No, I can't see that, I'm afraid.
Top left, under the TX, you'll see Mode B, width 2.4, error fix high, QAM 16. If you click on the 16, it should change the figure.
No, nothing happens when I click on it. Right or left?
Left click on QAM.
On the actual word.
So it's now changed to 4.
Keep going.
16,
Keep going.
4. It goes 4, 16, 64.
64 is what we want.
Okay, set on 64. Receive is also on 64.
Yeah, that should work.
Thank you. QAM, I was looking for QIM.
Me bloody Australian accent done that. Over to you, Tim.
No worries, no worries. We've got a couple of minutes before the end of the net, and there's probably not enough time for another image, so we'll just do a quick round of finals, and then we'll close up. VK3 AML for final before we close up.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for the interesting images, fellas. The stuff from you on 3D printing is always interesting, Tim. And interesting that you got the ISS down there at Frankston, Stan. Nilex plastic sign, very interesting. I've seen a video of the interior of that. Chris's joke photos, always worth a giggle. And very interesting, John, on the mechanical gramophone with the flame reproducer. I know that Lee DeForest, worked on a flame microphone at one stage. The conductivity of a flame with the comb electrodes either side of it, if you spoke to it, apparently the resistance would vary like a carbon microphone, but people tended to burn their lips on the damn thing. And just for interest's sake, the LED that I published the photo of, I'm making an optical unit for that, the idea being an intense large aperture beam out of a Fresnel lens derived from that LED, modulated, should be able to be picked up over the horizon by atmospheric scattering, and that's what we're looking at. Anyway, thanks for having me, and we'll see you next Thursday. Or next Sunday. I believe there's a Sunday net for EasyPal on the EMDRC repeater. VK3FTZD, VK3AML.
Yes, there is, and I'll be advertising that. Well, I presume there is still. Unfortunately, I can't get to a radio on Sundays to find out, but Facebook post said that Luke wanted it to be a regular thing. Okay, Terry, VK3FTJS for finals.
Yeah, good net as always, and thanks to everybody who participated, all the new ones, and the old ones and the usuals. Yeah, and 73s to all, and enjoy your week, and hopefully everybody's safe and well.
Thank you, Terry. VK3JCO, John, for comment.
Thank you for letting me partake in the group. Very interesting. I'm sorry if my images were a bit boring for you, but I learned a lot anyway this evening. VK3FTZD in the group, VK3JCO.
I must say that I didn't find your images boring at all. No, I quite enjoyed them. Actually, I enjoy everyone's images, but yeah, it's good to see different things. VK3BOT, Dan for our final comments.
Yeah, very good. Thank you all for having me at your house. Thank you for being at mine. And John, your images were not boring at all. I did not know such gramophones existed. Neither did I know about the gentleman in the photograph either. So there we are. It's been a very, very good evening indeed. 73 Sewall from VK3BOT. Good night.
VK3DB, Grayson, for final comments.
Yeah, VK3DB, always a pleasure, gents. Thoroughly enjoy myself every time I jump on. Thank you for letting me get my new setup going as well. And no, John, I thoroughly enjoyed your images. Well done for getting your first few transmits and things. Looking forward to seeing more from you. And to the rest of you, thank you once again, and I'll hopefully catch you all next week. 7-3, guys.
Thank you, Grayson. VK3CJN, Chris, for final comments.
FTZDVK3CJN. Yeah, thanks for another good night, guys. I've got 15 pictures here, which is fantastic. Obviously 16 set for the night, so I only set one. Some very interesting stuff, including yours, John. This sort of stuff fascinates me. This old stuff that you and Chris tend to post. Chris posts some fascinating pictures of old stuff. All stuff that was here before we were. So yes, that's very, very, very interesting. EasyPal on Sunday will be check-in and level checks and whatnot at 2, and the session goes from 2:30 till 3:30 on VK3RML, which is what we did last Sunday. So, and John took part in that, and I think he had a good old time. So with that, VK3CJN is saying thank you for another wonderful evening, and a good night to you all.
Is it REC or RML?
An RML. I got it wrong last week too.
So it's on this repeater?
REC. I got it right now. Yeah, REC. It is the noisy one, the one that gets all the clicks and burps and stuff.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, it is 11 o'clock. It's time to finish up. Thank you everyone for joining in the net. Thank you for all the listeners out there as well. My name is Tim, VK3FTZD. I've been tonight's host for the Thursday evening EasyPal net. It's a sanctioned activity by the repeater owner-operator Amateur Radio Victoria, and we thank them for allowing us to utilise the repeater for our hobby. EasyPal is digital slow scan imaging software using DRM protocol to transmit and receive our images, as well as other forms of media we can transmit as well. You can set it up fairly straightforward using the the sound card on your computer, along with the sound out and microphone in on your radio, or dedicated line in, line out on your radio. We also have a Facebook group. If you search for Melbourne Easypal, you will find us on Facebook. Please, if you have any questions that have not been answered tonight, jump on the Facebook group, and we're more than welcome to help you out. Well, the more the merrier. We had a total of 15 images tonight, according to my count, and we've had, and I didn't count this one, 7 contributors. So excellent. It's always a pleasure when we have a lot of images come through. We have the EasyPal net on Sunday that we were just talking about on the REC repeater. that is at 147.175. You'll find that repeater. It's also got a 91.5 Hz tone and a positive 600 kilohertz offset. Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. 73s, everyone. Enjoy the week. Enjoy the weekend if you've got the weekend off. This is VK3FTZD closing the net and returning the repeater back to its normal use. 73s, everyone. Enjoy.
Thanks for that, Tim. 73.
73, Tim.
73s.
And I've recorded this in lieu of streaming it. We tried to stream it from 9 o'clock, and as soon as I hit the transmit button on EasyPal, the digital slow scan program, the live streaming crashed. So the best I could do was to record this via OBS software, and I will in due course upload the remaining, I suppose it'd be 1 hour and 55 out of the 2 hour session. So this is VK3AML on behalf of the Melbourne Easypal Digital Slow Scan TV group, saying all the best until next Thursday.